Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the DFO Fantasy Podcast Morning Report presented to you by Betway. If you're going to place a bet on Betway. Please play responsibly. Ontario only, must be 19 years of age or older. Welcome again to the Morning Report. It is Monday, October the 23rd. If you missed the first Morning Report, we will be releasing these every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, trying to break down the previous action, whether it was the night before, the week before, breaking it down to keep you up to date on all things fantasy hockey. Today, we are going to be recapping what happened last week. We're going to go through some injury updates over the weekend. We're also going to be talking about some streaming options for this upcoming week. So let's get right into it. We'll start with the injury report. And for the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid will miss 1 to 2 weeks with an upper body injury. Obviously, a huge issue for the Oilers. They also play in the Heritage Classic this weekend, so that's a little bit unfortunate for those attending the Heritage Classic. Connor McDavid could not be available, expected to miss 1 to 2 weeks with an upper body injury. Andre Burakovsky set to miss 6 to 8 weeks with an upper body injury of his own. Nico Hischier is day-to-day, will be reevaluated today. That's Monday. Devin Levi is dealing with a lower body injury, didn't start over the weekend, questionable to play Monday. There's only one game on the NHL schedule tonight. Whether or not Devin Levi is available for the Sabres remains to be seen. Patrick Laine for the Blue Jackets missed Saturday's game with an upper body injury. Unclear how much time he's expected to miss. Robbie Fabry for the Detroit Red Wings is expected to miss 1 month with a lower body injury, unrelated to his previous knee issues. And Cody Glass expected to miss about a week with a lower body injury of his own. Let's get into the stars of last week. We'll start with the forward. Sam Reinhart of the Florida Panthers had 5 goals, 1 assist, 13 shots on goal, and 1 power play point in 3 games. Jack Hughes, only 2 games, didn't matter. 2 goals, 3 assists, 12 points. 4 of the 5 points coming on the power play. His teammate Jesper Bratt also had a big week. 1 goal, 4 assists, all 5 points coming on the power play. Also adding 6 shots on goal in their 2 games. The Detroit Red Wings were the darlings of last week. Dylan Larkin and Alex DeBrincat especially. For Larkin, 3 goals, 6 assists, 14 shots on goal, and 6 power play points in 4 games. Alex DeBrincat, 5 goals, 3 assists, 12 shots on goal, 3 power play points. He now leads the NHL in both goals and points. Seth Jarvis of the Carolina Hurricanes, 4 goals, 2 assists, 11 shots on goal, 3 power play points in 3 games for him. A couple of veterans here. Brad Marchand of the Boston Bruins, 4 goals, 1 assist, 12 shots on goal, and 1 power play point in his 3 games. Nikita Kucherov, 4 goals, 1 assist, 15 shots on goal, 3 power play points in 3 games. And Arturi Lehkonen of the Colorado Avalanche. A little bit snake bitten to start the week, but finishes strong. Finished with 2 goals, 4 assists, 4 power play points, 11 shots on goal in 3 games. Let's talk about some defensemen. Jakub Slavin of the Carolina Hurricanes. Huge week, not really known to be super offensive, but he had 2 goals, 3 assists, 8 shots on goal. All the points coming at even strength. 3 games played for him. Shea Theodore had 4 assists in 3 games, also added 11 shots on goal and 2 power play points. Shane Gostisbehere of the Detroit Red Wings, 2 goals, 2 assists, 2 power play points, and 9 shots on goal. Miro Heiskanen of the Dallas Stars, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 shots, and 2 power play points. Vince Dunn, 1 goal, 3 assists, 6 shots, and 2 power play points. And Rasmus Dahlin, 4 assists, 8 shots on goal, and 1 power play point for the Buffalo Sabres in 3 games played. So those were your defenseman stars of the week. Let's look at some of the outstanding goalie performances from a week ago. We got Alexander Georgiev of the Colorado Avalanche, 3-0 record, 167 goals against average, 940 save percentage, and 1 shutout. He's making an early case for a Vezina trophy this year. Carter Hart looks outstanding for the Philadelphia Flyers as well. Last week, 2-0, had a 0.5 goals against average, a 980 save percentage, and 1 shutout. Pretty impressive stuff from Carter Hart. Linus Ullmark picking up right where he left off last year. Well, I guess left off in the regular season, not so much the playoffs, but Linus Ullmark, 2-0. 1.0 goals against average, 966 save percentage last week. He's started 3 games so far this year. He's only given up 1 goal in every single game so far. And Ville Husso for the Detroit Red Wings, 2-0, 251 goals against average, and 929 save percentage, excuse me. And while that's good, he was actually outplayed by his backup, James Reimer, who also went 2-0 with a 1.0 goals against average, 963 save percentage, and 1 shutout. So the Red Wings loading up on the stars of the week last week. Great start to the season for them. Let's start talking about some of the streaming targets for this upcoming week. If you don't know or if you've missed it, I do a weekly strength of schedule and a streaming targets right up every single week, looking at the strength of schedule, trying to find the best teams to target. Just to give you the top 5 of this week, the New Jersey Devils, Montreal Canadiens, Winnipeg Jets, San Jose Sharks, and Minnesota Wild have the 5 best schedules. But let's break it down a little bit more from a streaming schedule perspective. As we said, the New Jersey Devils, easiest schedule on the week. They have 3 games on light days, which are games with 7 or 8 less games, and allow you to get these players into the lineup a little bit easier. So 3 light nights and the easiest schedule. Obviously, a terrific streaming schedule for the New Jersey Devils this week. They're undoubtedly the team to target for streamers. They have the best schedule. And the issue, though, with the Devils is that a lot of their high-end players are all extremely high-owned. In fact, of their top 6, only one player is under 91% owned. Let's talk about him first. That's Andre Palat. He's the most widely available of the Devil skaters among the streaming targets, and probably the most attractive option as well. Palat, like I said, the only member of the top 6 that is under 91% owned. Most recently been skating on a line with Nico Hischier and Jesper Bratt, and seeing time on the second power play unit. So far, just 2 assists and 5 shots through 4 games, but it's really hard to ignore his spot in the lineup when they have such a favorable schedule this week. Let's also talk about Dawson Mercer, 45% owned. Unlikely to be available for most of you, but if you, he would be one of the top choices this week if he is available to you. Not a great start. Hasn't recorded a point in 4 games. Also just 4 shots on goal. Been a little bit unfortunate. 5.0 on ice shooting percentage has really hampered his production early on. Modest usage, 16.5 minutes a night, playing on the third line, second power play unit. The one thing to keep an eye on, he could be a candidate to move up to the second line should Nico Hischier miss any time. So something to keep an eye on during Monday's practice if the Devils get out there, if not Tuesday morning. But similar to what we saw from last season, not a whole lot of ice time for Mercer, 16.5. Like I said, he still was able to put up 56 points, 27 goals, 29 assists in 82 games last year. So he's been productive in a secondary role before. No reason to think he can't continue that this year. Another wait-and-see approach here with Erik Haula. He's 10% owned, but again, he missed some time. Missed Friday's game with an upper body injury, so he's obviously questionable headed into Tuesday's game, headed into this week. Like Mercer, Haula's usage is pretty mediocre, but he's made the most of that during his time in New Jersey. He's always a guy that has a threat to get shots on goal. Will chip in a couple hits here in banger leagues as well. So in 83 games, the Devils thus far, 44 points, 16 goals, 28 assists, averaging 2.1 shots on goal, 1.2 hits, and 16.5 minutes time on ice. Second easiest schedule of the week, the Montreal Canadiens. The problem with them is they only have 1 game on a late night, making them a little bit more difficult to target as a week-long stream. But as I mentioned, only 1 game on the NHL schedule on Monday, and Montreal will be in Buffalo to take on the Sabres. So they might be worth an early week pickup and then drop them if you've got a lot of weekly transactions at your disposal. If you need some help on the blue line, look no further than Michael Matheson at 35% owned. Matheson will carry value beyond this week. So if you need help on the blue line, you don't want to waste a pickup on a Canadian that's only going to, service you for 1 or 2 games this week. Matheson does carry value beyond this week. He's playing absolutely massive minutes, 25 minutes and 48 seconds for the Canadians, also on their top power play unit. Matheson has picked up 2 assists in 4 games and has 14 shots on goal, which is tied for 10th among defensemen so far this season. So obviously a lot of shot volume. The time on ice is great as well. And if you have counting stats in your league like hits and blocks, he has even more value. He's averaging 1.3 hits and 3.3 block shots per game so far this season. If you are willing to waste an early week stream on a Montreal forward, Sean Monahan and Josh Anderson, probably your best bets, both 11% owned. Monahan's enjoyed a solid start to this season. He's got 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points in 4 games. At first glance, his spot on the Habs number 3 line isn't all that appealing. However, he's also getting time on the top power play unit, and he's averaging 18 minutes and 19 seconds per game, which is 3rd amongst Canadians forwards so far this year. As for Anderson, more of a banger league target. Depending on your format, he could carry a lot of value as a streamer. So far this year, he has just 1 assist, but he's averaging 2.5 shots and 2.3 hits per game. Also averaging 5.5 penalty minutes per game with a misconduct mixed in there. The San Jose Sharks have the 4th easiest schedule, this week, but 2 light games. Obviously, the Sharks are not a juggernaut, so it's going to be hard to really target them. But they do have a favorable schedule, and they're talented enough to take advantage of it. That remains to be seen. But they do have 2 late night games this week on Friday and Sunday. So, the way to take this week could be pick up the Canadiens for the start of the week, pick up the Sharks for the end of the week. Again, all depends on how many waiver wire additions you have and weekly transactions you have at your disposal. But for me, the only player I'm really targeting from the Sharks is Tomas Hertl, who's 44% owned, so still not even widely available. He's the only one that I'm streaming. He's the only one that's really worthy of the pickup. The rest of the lineup's been shuffling regularly. Hertl's role, obviously, as the alpha on that top line remains consistent. So he's the only one that you can really have a lot of faith in. He's their best player by far, and he's produced at a point per game pace so far this season on a winless San Jose Sharks hockey team. 1 goal, 4 assists, 11 shots, and 4 hits in 5 games for him. Let's move on to the Minnesota Wild. 5th easiest schedule on the week. 2 light games. Ryan Hartman, 27% owned, center right wing eligible. His early season production leaves much to be desired, but his spot on the Wild depth chart is secure. At 5v5, he skates with Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Zuccarello and sees time on their second power play unit as well. Hartman will likely never recapture the 34-goal form we saw from him in 2022, but he's more than capable of putting up a point per game for you, for 1 week. Like, that's all you need from him right now, and especially, when they have an easy schedule like they do so far this year. Kalen Addison, 7% owned. Solid stream for those of you who need help on the blue line with Jared Spurgeon sideline. Kalen Addison has been on the Wild's top pair with Jonas Brodin and on the top power play unit. It was always tricky to get Addison into your lineup because his 5v5 role was so limited. But since that's no longer the case, he's a much more viable fantasy asset at the moment. He has 2 assists, 10 shots on goal through 5 games, and has averaged 20 minutes and 35 seconds per game over the last 3 games. Marcus Johansson, 4% owned. Like Addison, Johansson has been the benefactor of a Wild injury. With Matt Boldy out, Johansson has moved up to the Wild's top power play unit and had a big game on Saturday. He had a goal and an assist in 19 minutes and 41 seconds of ice time. He's playing with Joel Eriksson at 5v5 and could have a solid week this week, given the strong matchups for the Minnesota Wild. Lastly, let's talk about the Washington Capitals. 7th easiest schedule on the week, but 3 light games. So obviously going to be pretty easy to get the Capitals in your lineup this week. The Capitals are off to a horrific start, ranking last in the NHL in goals per 60, 1.22 goals per 60, thanks to a league-low 5.1 shooting percentage. Still, talented enough veterans on that team to be able to right the ship, and obviously we don't expect Alex Ovechkin to go goalless forever, so their goals should come. Positive regression should set in. They're still like in the bottom third of the league in expected goals for, so they're obviously not playing great, but you'd expect them to shoot above 5.1%, and the goals per 60 should rise with time here. So Dylan Strome, 23% owned. Speaking of Ovechkin, Strome is currently the top pivot option on the top line there with Ovechkin. Matthew Phillips was moved up to the other wing over the weekend. Strome had a quiet start to the season, but scored 2 goals in Montreal on Saturday and has seen a bump in ice time the last few games after moving from the third line to the top line with Ovechkin. So whoever's on Ovechkin's line is always kind of a solid bet for production, whether it's assists or chipping in a goal himself like he did over the weekend. Dylan Strome, 23% owned. And then TJ Oshie, 10% owned. He's probably been their best player so far, has the highest 5v5 on-ice relative expected goals for per 60 on the team, also leads the team in all situations individual expected goals for at 2.73, and he actually leads them by a pretty significant margin. The second on the team is actually Dylan Strome. Despite that, though, Oshie has been held pointless so far through 4 games, but still plays big minutes in that top 6. Also sees the time on that top power play unit. So if he keeps creating the chances, the points will eventually come. And as I mentioned, if positive regression sets in for Washington this week, Oshie could be one of the best streamers given their 3 light night games. So that is going to do it for this week's streamers. Now let's take a quick look at tonight's game, singular. Only one tonight. Buffalo minus 180 against the Montreal Canadiens on home ice. Like I said, Devin Levi questionable to play. I'm not entirely sure what the NHL has in store for us this week. If you take a look at the schedule, 1 game on a Monday, followed by 16 games tomorrow, all 32 teams in action on a Tuesday, followed by 1 more game on Wednesday. So absolutely abysmal scheduling to start the week. It's super unfortunate. So tonight, you'll have the luxury of watching the Sabres and the Canadiens. Then you got 16 games tomorrow. Good luck trying to pick one to watch. And then you've got New Jersey and Washington on Wednesday. So just horrific scheduling early in the season here from the NHL. But yeah, I guess we'll all be locked in on Montreal in Buffalo tonight. Again, you can find Buffalo at minus 180 on Betway, Montreal at plus 165 at the moment. I would expect some movement should Devin Levi not be available. If it's Eric Comrie or Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen for the Sabres, there could be a little bit of movement towards Montreal there. But overall, just one game tonight. We will be back here for the morning report on Wednesday to recap a massive 16-game slate. So hope you guys enjoyed it. This has been the DFO Fantasy Podcast Morning Report presented to you by Betway. Have a great day.